Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today I'm in this first generation Volvo XC60, which ran from 2008 until 2017. This particular car is a late 2017 model. It's a mid-sized luxury SUV, and it sits in Volvo's lineup right in the middle, below the bigger XC90, but above the smaller XC40. The market's been flooded with these kinds of cars for over a decade now, so the XC60 had to be good enough to tempt you away from the BMW X3, the Audi Q5, the Land Rover Freelander, the VW Tiguan, the Kia Sportage. Honestly, the list is endless. Now, spoiler alert, the XC60 is good. Very good, in fact. It's got an awful lot going for it. We might as well start with its looks, hadn't we? I think it's a good looking car, this. It's handsome, stylish, the proportions are right. It's more sleek than its boxy big brother, and it's not cutesy like its younger sibling, the XC40. I love the rear lights. To be honest, I love the whole shape of it. It just works. In our design trim like this, it looks really dapper, if a car can be dapper, of course. And it just feels like the right size. It's in that Goldilocks zone. I remember saying the same thing about the Q5. And even though it's 4.6 metres long, it never feels as though you're in a tank. Although it is as safe as one. You see, whilst we weren't looking, Volvo was busy working tirelessly making their cars as safe as possible. To the point now where they're almost like mobile forts. At the time of production, the XC60 was the safest car Volvo had ever made. You have airbags everywhere, ISOFIX points for your kiddie seats. You even get a collision prevention system which automatically brakes for you at speeds below 19 miles an hour. If, for example, a pedestrian walks out in front of you, or, for example, the car in front of you is a clueless Duke or Qashqai driver and just brakes for no reason. So I think if you're a parent looking for a sturdy, safe family car, the XC60 is about as good as it gets. Moving inside the XC60, the interior is so stylish, so Swedish, it immediately makes the competition look frumpish and dowdy. Everything looks and feels as though it's been designed by a genius. Apart from, of course, the electronic handbrake, which I think was designed by an imbecile. It's tiny, awkwardly positioned, and it works the exact opposite way of how you'd expect it to work. I don't know what Volvo were thinking of. It's very easy to forget to use it as well. Now that doesn't really matter in this model because it's automatic. So in park, the car's locked so it can't roll, but in a manual, that is a bit of an issue. I sold a manual XC60 a few years ago, and within a week the new owner had crashed it. He parked it outside his house on what he thought was level ground, only to discover it the next morning at the bottom of his road, crashed into a lamppost. So you need to be careful with that. But everything else works really well. I like the clarity of the TFT display. I like the font they've used, it's nice and easy to read. Everything's just really sensible. I'm guessing the principal reason for you wanting to buy one of these is for the practicality on offer. And that's another area where the XC60 excels. There's loads of room up front, plenty of headroom, plenty of leg room, plenty of elbow room. I must say though, in a model like this without the glass roof, it does feel quite dark in here. There's also plenty of room in the back, and the boot's a good size, 495 litres to be precise. You get a good sized glove compartment, 2 cup holders. Although the door pockets aren't the most spacious, neither in fact is this centre console. But it does have a USB and auxiliary point. The whole thing just seems very intelligently designed. It's totally family friendly. On top of that, the leather seats are very comfortable, although they're manually operated. And I hate manual seats. Just really cheapens it, I think. It'd make a great long distance family cruiser, this. You could imagine loading up your family and your things and going all the way to the south of France or south of Spain. This is a car that would do that in its stride. I'm currently sat here at the speed limit, there's not much wind noise or road noise. It's all very civilised. I mean, we're in a Volvo, did you really expect anything less? I hate to admit this, but if you've seen any of the Twilight films, they did use an XC60 in one of those. I can't remember which film exactly, but I remember sat there thinking, that looks cool. I found that more interesting than the plot anyway. Under the bonnet of this one is the 2.4 litre D5, and it produces 220 horsepower. Which gives this car so much pulling power. You feel like you could tow anything with it, from a little 2-berth caravan, all the way up to something like, I don't know, Westminster Abbey. It's a bit loud and noisy. It really does fly, this. It is hampered though by the auto box. It's a 6-speed Geartronic unit and it's a little bit too easily confused for my liking. It's a bit of a ditherer. You ask it to do something and it spends 3 seconds like this. Do you want second or third, or just do your job? The 6-speed manuals are alright though, until of course you forget to put the handbrake on and it rolls down your hill into your neighbour's car. They also offered the XC60 with a 3-litre petrol engine, and I honestly don't think I've ever seen one. You'll have probably seen more Bugattis on the road than the T6, at least here in Britain. And that's probably for quite good reason, because that will only do about 24 miles per gallon, and it's in the highest road tax bracket. If you want economy over all else, then you've got to go for the Drive E model. That's front-wheel drive only, which I suppose it's a bit daft, isn't it, having a 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, but that model's capable of nearly 50 miles per gallon. Whereas this D5 will do about 38 miles per gallon combined. It's quite a pleasant car to drive though. The steering's a little bit too light, and it's quite dead, it's quite numb. But it rides nicely. Even this sporty R design model's not too firm. There's also not much body roll. With regards to servicing and reliability, I'd recommend you find a good Volvo specialist and stick with them. The automatic gearboxes aren't sealed for life, as much as the manufacturers will tell you that. They need servicing at between 80 and 100,000 miles. That'll set you back a couple £100. They have a timing belt which needs to be changed every 10 years, so quite a long interval there. You might suffer with the odd electrical issue or the odd oil leak. Issues with the EGR and the EGR cooler are quite common, and that's usually, unfortunately, a £1,000 job to sort out. This particular car has done 85,000 miles, so it's had quite a busy 5 years, but it still feels solid and tight. It doesn't feel loose or sloppy, which I suppose is a testament to its build quality. Now the competition is quite fierce. If you want something that's sporty to drive, then I'd recommend something like a BMW X3. If you want something that's better off-road, then I'd recommend something like a Land Rover Freelander. But I'd say the XC60 is the best all-rounder. It's a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. That might sound a bit harsh, but that was meant to be a compliment. If I had children, I think I'd have something like this. It'd just end up being a faithful family servant. Used prices here in the UK start at as little as £4,000, but that's going to get you something like a 2008 low spec with galactic mileage. You'll have to spend around 10 or 12 to get yourself a half decent one. What I would recommend though is keep a couple of £1,000 back and do things like the cam belt, the automatic gearbox service, the EGR valve if necessary. That way you're not going to be caught off guard by a big bill, and you should have a very reliable family car. Well, I think that's about it. Thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll leave the link below. If you've got any comments or questions, let me know below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. Cheers guys, see you next time.